Hello again. The famous British charity Oxfam have issued what they describe as an inclusive language guide. It is written in English, for which Oxfam apologise, since this is, as they put it, the language of a colonising nation. In the description to this video, I give a link where viewers can download this strange document for themselves and keep up to date with modern English usage. We learn, for example, that Oxfam avoid the use of the words mother or father because this means assuming the adoption of gendered roles by transgender parents. Yeah, seriously, when they're working in famine-stricken countries where the inhabitants are accustomed to use easily understandable words such as mother and father, Oxfam hope to wean them off this pernicious habit by gently reminding them instead to refer to birthing parents. They also explicitly avoid the expression expectant mothers because this assumes that a pregnant person is a mother rather than a father. Let me quote in full the guidance on this. Using the term expectant mothers rather than pregnant women reinforces gender stereotypes and assumes that the woman in question wants to continue the pregnancy or will continue the pregnancy to term. Pregnant women is a more neutral, less loaded term. To be more inclusive of gender non-binary trans men or gender non-conforming people, the term pregnant people or people who can become pregnant can also be used. So now you know. Then too, there are those dreadful expressions sanitary products and feminine hygiene. Oxfam is shocked that people should still think it okay to use such language. Again, I quote from their guidance on inclusive language. The phrase sanitary products implies that periods are in themselves unclean. This reinforces the stigma around menstruation and female reproductive biology. This matters because around the world people have been discriminated against because of the fact that they menstruate, and a large part of the reasoning is that this makes women unclean. The phrase menstrual products describes exactly the same items and is universally understood, but does not carry these negative connotations. It is factually correct and neutral. Feminine hygiene further assumes that menstruation is innately feminine and does not include people who menstruate who do not identify with femininity, i.e. non-binary people and trans men. What I find fascinating about all this is that Oxfam are actually trying to indoctrinate people in Africa and Asia with a white ideology peculiar to Western Europe and North America. The whole trans business was dreamed up by white people of European origin, and now Oxfam are determined to export it to other countries. It might be argued that this in itself is a form of colonialism. Finally, a guide for inclusive language actually manages to exclude black people, which is no mean feat. Oxfam's definition of a black person is a person who is of African or African Caribbean heritage. Does this include African Americans? I see that Caribbean heritage is mentioned, but not Brazilian or American heritage. This is odd. Are the black people there not as black as those of African Caribbean heritage? And what about the black people of the Andaman Islands off the coast of India who have been there for many thousands of years? Aren't they black? What about black people in Australia? They're not of African or African Caribbean heritage. Does that mean that Oxfam doesn't regard them as being black either? I recommend that viewers download this guide for themselves and see just what they make of it.